Okay, question 5F. Express the equation x squared minus 8x equals negative 41 in the form x minus p squared equals q. Now, you would not realize it because it's just kind of weird and hard to interpret. This is telling us to complete the square, because when you complete the square, you rewrite it in a factored form equal to a constant. So we have to complete the square. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to write the phrase complete the square with a mouse until I got about halfway done. Okay, completing the square is an awkward, weird process that you probably don't remember. Maybe once I start talking about how to do it, you'll say, oh yeah, I kind of remember that part. We'll see. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this actually out here in the open so it's a little bit easier for me to interact with. X squared minus 8x equals negative 41. Okay. Now the first step in completing the square was to make sure your constant is on the right. It already is. Negative 41 is over here. If the negative 41 was on the other side, you'd have to do, or plus 44. If plus 41 was on the left, you'd have to do minus 41 to get them on that side. But it's already there. Awesome. Next step. When we completed the square, we wrote x squared minus 8x, leave space, equals negative 41, leave space. We have to fill this space with a special constant. What it is, it's your b divided by 2 squared, and it goes in the same spot. So in this expression, or I guess in this equation, your b is negative 8. Let's negative 8x is the part, but just like when you find a, b, and c for a quadratic formula, I'm going to write it over here, and then I'm going to delete it. So your b is equal to negative 8. What goes in this spot is negative 8 divided by 2, and then square it. And that's going to go in here and in here. That's what we did when we completed the square. So I'm going to type in the calculator, negative 8. It's always divided by 2. It's always cut in half. I'm going to type in the calculator. Oh, craziness there. Parenthesis. And you can use the fraction button here if you want. It doesn't affect anything. So negative 8 divided by 2. Come on out. Parenthesis. Squared. Enter. You should get a positive number. I got positive 16. Right? So what's going to go in each spot is plus 16 plus 16. And I'll write it in purple here. A lot of students are able to do this part in their head because you just divide the b in half and then square it, times it by itself. So half of negative 8 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 4 would be positive 16. That's what goes there. It'll always be positive. You shouldn't get a negative because you're squaring a negative at worst. Little cleanup down here. X squared minus 8x plus 16. Negative 41 plus 16, type it in the calculator. You should get negative 25. It's just a cleanup on the right-hand side. Now we're going to factor it. To complete the square, we factor using trinomial, but there's a shortcut with completing the square because of what we did. We're going to go right from this to blob squared equals negative 25. Now the first parenthesis is going to be plain x. When you divided it by 2, when you took that b earlier, which was negative 8, when you take negative 8 and divide it by 2, that is always going to be what that other part of the factoring is. So negative 8 divided by 2 would be negative 4. Agreed? Right up here, negative 8 divided by 2 is negative 4. That means this factor is negative 4. If when you did b divided by 2, like let's say it's 10 divided by 2, and you get positive 5, it would be plus 5. And it's always going to be blob squared, always. So you can make this jump with this factoring because of the way completing the square works. If this was just regular factoring, you would have to do the 4 parentheses. Oop, I wanted to do blue. Don't write this down. You'd have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, x, and then do the a and m. And if you did that here, you would end up with x minus 4 anyway. Okay. We're done with the question, by the way. Let's take a quick look and be convinced. This is the final answer because look at the form they wanted it in. They wanted it in the form x minus p quantity squared equals q. See how these are in the same shape? Equal sign, q is a number, negative 25. X is in the first spot, minus, sometimes it's plus, it doesn't matter. But x is in the first spot, parentheses, squared. So this is in the right form. It's basically rearranged all the furniture in here so it says the same thing, okay? So that is how you complete the square with that question.